Holidays are coming. Wait, they're here. Time to pull out all of those old family favorite recipes. Going plant-based doesn't mean you have to give up traditional dishes. It just means we have to re-engineer them so that you pull out all of the animal products, the fat, the cholesterol. Pierogis, or varenicka, are a classic potato dish, perfect for a plant-based diet. With this easy recipe, you can still have bacon cheddar pierogis, but they're healthier and vegan. Remember, when you make them yourself, you have total control over the fat, sugar, and salt. Welcome back to Comfort Food Farms, the plant-based home cooking channel. If we haven't met, I'm Kari Greger. I'm glad you've joined us. Let's get into it. Weigh out 2.5 pounds of potatoes. It takes about 6 cups of diced potatoes, but it's much better to use a scale. This is what you need to make cheesy potatoes: carrots, sweet white onion, and cashews. The potatoes have to all be peeled and then diced up into a uniform size so that when they cook evenly. It should take probably about 20 minutes to boil these. Chop up the carrots and measure them out. We need 3/4 of a cup of chopped carrots. Put the cashews in the pot with the carrots, and then we're going to add 1/2 cup of chopped onion. It can be a little bit more, it's kind of an approximation. Add the onion to the pot and then cover it with water so that it's, an inch or 1/2 inch deep. Bring the vegetables and the cashews to a boil. To a high-speed blender, add 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast. Add 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of seasoning salt, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, and 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder. Next, we put in 1/3 of a cup of almond milk, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. When the onions, carrots, and cashews have simmered for about 10 minutes, then it's time to drain them and add them to the blender. By the way, if you're getting good information from this video, give us a thumbs up, like it, and hit the bell so you know when another recipe is posted. Drain the water from the cashews and the carrots and add them to the mixture. Add also 1/3 cup of the water that the vegetables were boiling in. Take it to the blender and run the blender for about 6 minutes or so until those cashews are really pulverized. Drain the potatoes after they've been cooked so that a fork will pierce them, and then mash them. I use an egg beater. Once they're mashed, add the contents of the blender. And then mix this in quite thoroughly. Add 1/2 cup of cornstarch and blend that in. Make sure you scrape the sides of the bowl so you get all of the cornstarch incorporated. let the potato mixture chill in the fridge for at least 2 hours, 3 hours, even overnight. Mix up a double batch of the pasta dough that we made in a previous video. You'll find the link here or in the description below. Prepare a cookie sheet with a clean towel over it to place the pierogis. Our chilled potatoes look great. Roll out the pierogi dough and have your potato cheddar mixture handy. Now I do it this way. I put a bit of the filling, about a heaping teaspoon of the filling, onto the dough. Then I take the edge of it and stretch it over top. Seal that around and use a biscuit cutter to cut it out. You have to make sure you pinch the sides so that seam is thoroughly sealed. There, beautiful pierogi. Let's speed this up and show you a few more just so you get the idea. You have to burp it too. Make sure you get all the air out. The air can sometimes make them rupture when they're boiling. Now here's a close-up of the burping process. You know, just sort of ease the air out before you seal it. Pinch it. I get so many of these. I can't remember exactly. I had it counted before, but they're double layered. So the tea towel I fold it over and then stack them on top. Put them in the freezer this way so they freeze separated from each other. And then I can put them in a bag after they're frozen. Just take them off the tea towels, put them in the bag, and they're ready to be dropped right from the freezer into boiling water to cook. I store them in the freezer in the bags. These ones are fresh, and so I'm just taking them from the tea towel and dropping them in. This way I can just mix up what we need for a meal. I don't have to use a whole bag. I can just count out how many I think we're going to eat. These mushrooms are going to make great bacon. Chop up about a cup of portobello mushrooms. To this add half a teaspoon or so, maybe a little bit more. It's kind of to taste. I think I have a 1/4 teaspoon measurement here, so that's why I'm doing it twice. Half a teaspoon of liquid smoke, and stir that in. Then add a bit of salt. I think I'm putting in probably about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Mix that in. To this I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. That will really bring the moisture out in the mushrooms. And 1 teaspoon of maple syrup. These are going to be smoky maple bacon flavored mushrooms. Dice up some sweet white onion, half a cup, maybe a little bit more. Look at those mushrooms. Do you see how the moisture has come out of the mushrooms? It's quite a bit of liquid in there, and it'll release more as you let the marinade soak in. Now I'm going to show you how to fry the mushrooms and the onions without any oil. I've got my handy spray bottle of water next to the frying pan, and I'm all set here with my wooden spoon and everything. And we're going to do this with a close-up on the pan. To a hot frying pan, add the mushroom mixture. You can see the moisture just boiling right off of it. I'm going to spread that around the pan so that it evenly covers the bottom of the pan. And we're going to just let that go with the moisture boiling off. cover it with a lid. That does the best to keep it from sticking. No oil required. See how this just comes right off the pan? Now I do want to get these dried out, so I'm going to let them cook with the lid off. And now I see there's a little bit of sticking going on, so I'm going to spray on the water and just scrape it off. It releases. These are getting nicely toasted. Time to add the onions. I want the onions to have a little bit of crunch to them, not to be so thoroughly mushy cooked, just firm. So that's why I put them in after I've cooked the mushrooms for a bit. Now we'll let them steam in their own juice, and we're going to take the lid off and let the onions caramelize. Needs a little bit more water. Just spray on more water whenever you see things sticking. Now these are starting to look very nicely caramelized, and I don't want them to cook any more than that. I'm going to shut the heat off. This pan will clean up very well with just being soaked in water. Use a slotted spoon to remove the pierogis. They're floating. Do you see how they're floating? Yes, a slotted spoon to remove them. And look, there's no potato residue in that water. None of them broke. That means the pasta dough worked wonderfully well. Top them with the smoked mushroom, bacon, and onions, and even put it in between the pierogi layers. Pierogis! Yum! Oh, almost forgot. We want some of this nice yogurt. This makes a wonderful substitution for sour cream. So, oh yes, take a little bit of the sour cream, yogurt, That's very good. Very good. The mushrooms taste just like bacon. And we've got a lovely cheddar taste in the middle of it, just like bacon cheddar pierogis. When you make it yourself, you have total control of the fat, sugar, and salt. Wow. Well, next week, I'm going to be making a warm, hearty fajita soup. So, give us a thumbs up below, subscribe, and hit that bell so that you'll know when that recipe is posted. Thank you for watching.